Dezmen Williams, decided to go back to Washington. Roman, first of all, what's LSU gonna do? Get Dylan Raiola? They're probably going.
Hilarious.
I mean, I guess they have to go get Sam Levitt because I don't know how to describe this anymore. He signs the extension. For those who don't know the entire timeline of events, this is all taking place in less than a week of actual time. Announces he signed an extension to return to Washington. 48 hours later, at we'll call it an inopportune moment, announces that he is leaving Washington. Is reportedly getting an offer from LSU in the $6 million range. And then decides, I'm going back to Washington. The Huskies were going to sue him for breach of contract. I don't know if they would have won that particular case. And now Dezmen Williams is going to start for Washington in 2026. Roman, are Husky fans going to welcome him back?
I will see. There's like 8 months between now and then. The early returns have certainly not been pretty, but I do want to push back on one thing you just said, Spencer.
Okay.
I feel like they might have had a pretty solid case because in the conversation that you and I recorded earlier today, which if your everydayers are curious, is live over on Locked On Huskies, because there is so much going on there. I think that he sat down with the representation that he hired on Thursday morning, and they said, hey, man, you might be kind of screwed. Let's figure out a way to bring you back to Washington. Or let's see if, these bridges that were kind of burned can be unburned. Let's make
Would this be the agent that on Thursday morning announced he was dumping Dezmen Williams?
No, I said the legal representation. I did not say the agent.
I just wanted everyone to make sure we're on the same page because we can't leave that detail out.
No, we can't. That he hired legal representation to seemingly fight this case. The same guy who is representing Xavier Lucas for Miami against Wisconsin. So, and if anyone missed that very minor detail now, because, everything is totally just back to normal, back to square one. This has been an absolute whirlwind of about 72 hours of real time, or 48. Yeah, really, because I sat down and I was really excited to watch what was a really fun Ole Miss Miami game. And I was like, all right, let's tune in for some game day. And then I nearly dropped my laptop on my foot because I was like, wait, what did Pete Thamel just say?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Washington fan, there are going to be a lot of folks that are going to go delete some comments that were made on the internet sphere, because let's not lose sight of the fact. Can't believe why anyone would. Let's not lose sight of the fact that Dezmen Williams is a good football player.
Yeah, absolutely.
And someone who Washington wants to have back as their quarterback in 2026. But if it was the legal action Washington was prepared to take that forced Dezmen Williams back, rather than, I believe there was a report about a conversation between him and Jedd Fisch that took place. But if it was that, what does that do to a locker room?
Well, this is a fun conversation to have, because I am sure that the longstanding relationship that Jedd and Dezmen have that go back to like his freshman year of high school certainly did play a part in this. Let's be very, very clear about that. But you pose a great question, because I'm 100% positive that this is something that did not go over very well, because, that's breaking news, isn't it? That players are frustrated when, oh, hey, our quarterback, who our coach pumps up as a potential Heisman finalist kind of player, is coming back. And then, oh, wait, no, he's going to go hit the portal. Yeah, don't love this. I think that there is a lot of smoothing over to do. And I think that with this announcement happening so quickly, that there is certainly a possibility that some kind of team meeting was held and maybe initial apologies have made. That's just me speculating at this point in time. But I think that is a conversation that needed to be had before things like that, as Washington's entire team was together for the women's basketball game as we record this late on Thursday night. So they were all in one place. What else comes of that and what comes next? It's anybody's guess.
Have you seen Zootopia 2?
I have, yes.
Remember the scene where they have to go to the couples counseling and it's a big giant group therapy session? Maybe Damon Williams needs to go like one at a time with his offensive linemen and repair the relationship with each of those guys.
To continue the Zootopia 2 references here, though,
Please.
I feel like they might end up like the Zebros and just start butting heads. Yeah, you're welcome for that one.
Zebros. Yeah, I go back to what you mentioned earlier. There's 8.5 months between now and when Washington will play a real football game. But the spring game is going to be sometime in March, April or so. And generally, there are availability sessions for players. And if I were the SID of Washington, I'd start talking to DeMond now about what the messaging is going to be to the fans. Because you do have to, I think, if you're DeMond Williams, in all seriousness, work to repair relationships in and out of the locker room. Because Husky Nation, as we had talked about on a show that wasn't evergreen for very long, they were turning on him, and I can't blame them for doing that.
No, I don't either.
Because they made a legitimately competitive offer, and he was saying, no, I want the very, very top, and now he comes crawling back to the Huskies, and yeah, okay, it's all good. You can't walk back in like George Costanza after he gets fired and show up on Monday and be like, how you doing? Hey, guy. Hey, didn't you quit? Me? No, that's somebody else. I didn't quit. That's not going to work. And there will be a lot of new faces who don't have any interaction to this and probably, frankly, probably only know it as you and I do of just reading the stuff from afar, the transfers that Washington's bringing in. But there are going to be a few returners that he's got to talk to and say, hey, man, I screwed up and I want to be here. And you can't just say it. You better mean that stuff.
I couldn't agree with you more. Let me add another layer to this, where it's Washington's roster acquisition, the transfer portal. That's not done. What about guys that are coming in on visits? Washington still needs to add a couple of pass rushers. Washington still needs to add a running back. Oregon running back Jayden Limar was on campus for an official visit during all of this. Those guys are going to have more questions now too. It's like, oh, hey, okay, yeah, you might be bringing in a new quarterback. Okay, I'd be interested. Now, wait, hold on. DeMond Williams is coming back. I still have all these questions that need to be answered because of this. Like a guy like that I brought up on Locked On Huskies, Ezra Christensen, New Mexico State defensive lineman, really disruptive pass rusher. I think that Washington is sitting in a nice spot for him. And that's a guy who in his last year of eligibility is probably like, hey, I'd like to, get some exposure and hopefully go to the college football playoff and do all these sorts of things. What's the deal here? Maybe I do want to commit to Washington, but what's going on with your quarterback? There are so many questions that need to be answered. And I'm just so curious about what comes next from all this, because like as much as you and I can sit here and say, oh, well, this seems like the most logical thing to do. This seems like the right thing to do. Nothing seems to make sense anymore.
No, it doesn't. How did all of this unfold in 96 hours?
One day somebody's going to write a book about all this.
Went from savior of the program to undesirable number one to, well, we better work to repair this relationship because that's all we've got. And in between the time when he said he was leaving, the time he said he was coming back, as you reported, Washington hosted other quarterback prospects.
They were in the process of getting more. They were in the
Bo Prabula visited.
Bo Prabula visited. Hassan Longstreet was probably getting ready to visit.
He went in the portal.
He was they wrote about it over on 3, and I can confirm all these things that Washington was very, very interested in having Hassan Longstreet on campus. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. How do you describe this other than madness? I don't know that there is another word that fits the description. But I mean, the process might suck, but for Washington fans, the end result is mostly good. Damon Williams is your quarterback. Okay, we're back into the playoff discussion. You know what? Trinidad Chambliss had Ole Miss one drive from the national championship game. Anything is possible, as Kevin Garnett once told us. Roman Tomashoff, Locked On Huskies, great as always. You will hear more from him later on today's show because Washington has some other portal moves to make. And DJ Lagway to Baylor. Sure, why not?